Hey, what up, family? Welcome back to another edition of the Try Life On podcast. It is 7:10 a.m. on Thursday, May 30th, 2024. If you're on the video version of this, I'm sitting here in my You're Killing Me Smalls red t-shirt that I've had for like a year because I just got back from the gym. Today was an early day. I was up at 3:30. I was in the gym by 4, headed back by 6. And then I was reviewing a coaching call that I had 2 days ago, and it's my buddy Jared. And in that conversation, Jared and I were talking about the power of mental diets and your chosen environment. If you're a coach, or if you're someone like me who does a lot of podcasts and spends a lot of time with very interesting people who figured out how to try life on in their own way, constantly learning. That's why I love this podcast stuff. And also why I love being a coach, because even though I have a lot to share, I am constantly learning from the input of other people and from my own experiences trying life on around the world, whether in business and personal life and what have you. In the conversation with Jared earlier this week, there was a natural flow, let's say, of consciousness. We were talking about how mental diets and the environment that you are in play such a big factor in you getting where you need to go. So, for example, in my journey relative to real estate, lifestyle design, and purpose, I read 5 books over a 20-year period over and over and over again. And I talk about this quite a bit on social media or on LinkedIn mainly, but there were 5 books that I read over and over and over again. And my philosophy was, even if the books weren't the best, if I became an expert on those books and just executed what they say, I would get somewhere, right? Rather than me jumping around, chasing the shiny bouncy ball and chasing the next thing that popped up. So for me, the 5 books were The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller, Multifamily Millions by David Lindahl. So those are my 2 real estate books that I just followed for years and years and years. Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, which he interviews 40 of the greatest financial minds over the past 2 decades. So it's more of an investing book. The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I found it in 2010, which sparked my interest in overall lifestyle design. And one of my favorites, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. If you haven't read it, you should really read it. It helped me determine what my purpose is in life. And that can evolve over time, but it did help me evolve my purpose. But I read those books over and over and over. And despite the fact, let's say relative to real estate, despite the fact there were things coming out like Bitcoin and or just cryptocurrency and gold and silver and stocks and bonds, and I just kept blinders on and executing what these books told me, because I knew even if the books weren't the best, I was going to get somewhere. And I sure as hell got somewhere, having now been in control of about $350 million worth of real estate, or $300 million worth of real estate, earning my financial freedom in 2008, covering my basic needs, and then getting to a point in 2014 where I had 13 grand of passive income coming in. So I was essentially making more money than I was getting from my job. But the point of that statement is, instead of jumping from book to book to book to book, learning some new thing, some new thing, some new thing, I was very consistent about executing what these 5 books said. So in essence, I was on a mental diet, just didn't know what to call it back in the day. I am on a mental diet now relative to social media. I'm on a mental diet relative to the things that I allow in my mind. I do not watch the news. I do not watch negative movies. I like positive movies. So think like cool spy movies, or with not a lot of killing, but cool spy movies, or romantic comedies, or documentaries, anything that's teaching me something or giving me a good feeling. I don't do much. I do post on LinkedIn. That's information relative to helping you guys. I've gotten away from scrolling things like Instagram, because what it does is it takes your mind to a different place. I just want to ingest the information that is relevant to me. So the books were a form of a mental diet. What I just told you about how I execute my life right now is a form of a mental diet, and I feel much healthier because of it. And then also there was this concept of knowing the environment that you were in, or putting yourself in an environment that's not going to constantly be sending negative stuff your way. So in this conversation that I'm going to share with you, I opened up to my coaching student, Jared, and I told him, man, I've been in the Eastern Mediterranean, specifically Lebanon, over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And what I realized was, I'm a Black dude hanging out in Lebanon. There's not a lot of people like me there. The socioeconomic issues are not things that I'm aware of. So not a lot of negative information is getting to me. And starting to understand is the more I control my environment, the stronger I have gotten. Seriously. So I control the information that gets into my head. We have this thing right now with social media. It's frying us. It is just all over the place. And to be honest, even with podcasts too, if you listen to 48 different podcast shows, how are you ever going to ingest the information and be able to hone in on it such that you can execute something for yourself? If it's entertainment, great. I get that. But for me, when I listen to particular podcasts, I usually listen to one or two podcasts for a long period of time so I can ingest the information and use it for the benefit of my life and for the benefit of you guys. This has been a really, really powerful realization for me. The fact that I have leveraged mental diets for so long without even realizing it, and I am big time now. And then the fact that I try to control my environment, it was something that I was talking to my coaching student Jared about. I realized that the conversation I had with him was so poignant. I'm like, man, I got to share this with the Try Life On community, because you guys are trying to, let's say, manifest the style of life that you want or the feeling of a day-to-day that you want, but you're allowing so much information to get into that brain of yours. Our nervous systems just need a break. Imagine if you could all funnel it down to the things that truly matter. You're going to make way more progress on the things that you want to do, the entrepreneurial endeavors you want to get going, the places you want to go, the types of people you want to be around. My world has become very, very controlled and very small. And as a result, I'm constantly making progress on business and personal goals. So I wanted to give you that tidbit on mental diets and controlling your environment. I wanted you to hear this conversation that I had with a coaching student so you can see how we kind of progress in that conversation. I hope it helps you. If it does, please send me a note, Maurice at trylifeon.com. Again, as always, I would appreciate a 5-star review on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'm trying to get good information out to you to help you try life on. And every once in a while, there's a conversation with a coaching student that I'm just like, man, I want everybody to hear this. So today is one of those days. I hope you enjoy the conversation and get out there, try life on, and I'll see you on the next episode. I talk about delayed gratification sometimes, but I'm not so sure it's even that. I think we're just rewiring who we are, because Wayne Dyer talks about it a lot, and he goes, you go back to the Stoics of the 50s. So think like Neville Goddard and I don't know, the Jim Rohns, the Neville Goddards, the Tony Robbins, da da da. We are all trained by experience and repetition on how we think about life. It's normal. We have neural pathways for that. So my thing when I was in my 20s was I want enough money in my pocket to feel that I'm okay. It was just programming. But once I started paying future self and then I had less money in my pocket, I was just like, okay, well, I'm just not going to live that way anymore. I'm just going to live this way now. And thank God that I did. So you're not doing anything different. You're not delaying gratification, actually. You're just choosing to live a different lifestyle for now.
Yeah.
But now, here's the thing, and I've gotten big on this lately, so I want to share this nugget with you. Mental diets are going to become very, very important, because I didn't realize I used to do this, but I did do it. There was one post on LinkedIn where I always share those 5 books, which it really needs to be 6 books now. I reread the same 5 books for 20 years. What I didn't realize I was doing was I was becoming a master at just those books. I had blinders on. So even when this book and this book and this thing and Bitcoin and this thing, and I was like, I don't know, I'm just going to do what these 5 books tell me. I was doing a mental diet. So what I've come to understand about myself now, and I want to give this to you because you are rewiring your neural pathways. That's all fucking coaching is. You're just rewiring yourself. You're going to have to understand that mental diet is going to come into play. So I'm on a mental diet right now. I'm not allowing myself on Instagram. I've gotten too far into it. The only social media I will allow myself to do is LinkedIn. I'll make my post. I will do my comments. I'll try to go post on 4 or 5 people's stuff, but it's getting harder for me nowadays. And then I delete the app off my phone. I no longer listen to the news. I listen to 2 YouTube channels, one relative to manifestation, actually both kind of, And then I listen to my podcast and I re-listen to these coaching interviews because I want to see, one, how I can do better. And two, is there something like clips from things that I've talked to you about that I could share, which of course it takes your anonymity into consideration. And I would ask you first, but is there something that I could share with the rest of society that would do good for them?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm not absorbing anything else.
Yeah.
And I have found that I have gotten stronger and stronger and strong. There's nothing piercing me except for positive stuff and how I want to help people.
Right.
So I translate that to you as, okay, so whatever you and Sarah are going to do, executing your blueprint, doing your financials, taking care of Junior times two, I encourage you to figure out what mental diet you're going to go into.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, Jared, we are just bombarded with our nervous systems. I'm learning too, and this is what I'm learning from the people that I listen to. Our nervous systems are so bombarded with shit, we just never stop.
Yeah.
We don't even know how to sit still. And the first thing I did when I got home this morning, for what it's worth, I flew back from the Mideast last night. It was a tough trip getting back.
Mm-hmm.
I took my kid to school. I grabbed the dog goes where my kid goes, so I grabbed the dog and I was out in my yard, my front yard, picking weeds. I don't want to hear the news. I don't want to see the newspaper. I just want to hear the birds. There's a ton of baby rabbits in my yard now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first thing I'm doing, and then I listen to something on YouTube from those channels that I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I rewatched our video, about 15 minutes of it, to remember where we left off.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm spending time with you. There is nothing negative coming in. So when I tell you that I am on my shit about my blueprint,
Mm-hmm.
I am on my shit because there's nothing on the outside taking my attention away, which we're going to do an exercise today. So I want to give you that as well.
That's great.
I'm learning too. Like I'm giving you stuff. I don't want you to think, but I will give myself credit in certain respects, but I want to tell you that I'm continuing to learn. That's why I enjoy talking to you guys so much, because I'm learning and then I can reflect back to you what I'm getting from you and then all my other stuff. In all honesty, Try Life On is just you manifesting your life. It's just you having blinders on to manifest your life and executing the actions that your subconscious is telling you to go execute. You know how I got you to think about actions? When I asked you to tie emotion to your perfect day. Because emotions can only come from who you really are. I can't tell you to be happy. So in hindsight, it's, as I think about it now, what I've been doing over the last 3 years, helping people tie emotion to something, pulling it out there, and then you consciously listening to your subconscious to say, these are the actions I'm going to go do. But if we don't, this is where I'm learning, if we don't execute the mental diet aspect of it, it gets fried. We lose it again. Which is why I'll give you one more thing that I have learned that I'm going to incorporate into coaching now that is helping me, that I think you can pick up, and then we'll move to the exercise. I didn't recognize that by putting myself in Lebanon, I was giving myself a leg up. Let me explain. It just dawned on me last week, and I need to do like a solo podcast on it or something. I'm not sure how I'm going to address it. The fact that I've been in Lebanon for the past 2 weeks, if you think about it, you and I we're Bostonians, right? So if we go downtown B-Town, we're going to hear shit about the Celtics, Bruins. Waterfront is a little bit dirty today. I don't even know who the mayor is now, but Menino is acting crazy. Like, we'll hear all those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's outside input. But if you put yourself in a different environment where none of it is known to you, it's much easier to filter. I'm not getting junk in Lebanon because I'm always in a wonderful place, and there's nothing about me as a black man in that country that's socioeconomically the same as a Lebanese person. So unless I engage in conversation, like true conversation, there's no shit coming at me. And all I've noticed since I've been there is I've gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. And I could not figure it out why until this iteration, which is why I tell you on the principle sheet that life is something you have to practice. So now when I go engage with people like my neighbors, no, I'm just shooting positivity their way and they're shooting positivity my way. Then I leave, I go have some drinks with friends. I have wonderful coaching calls with you guys. It is all environment. And since I'm not saying something's wrong with social media, what I'm saying is we are allowing it to fry us to death. It is taking us in so many freaking directions. Not one direction is going to be the right thing, but you can pick a direction and just stick with it and you get there. So that's why those 5 books I read, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, The 4-Hour Work Week, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, Multifamily Millions, and Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Because I read them and never listened to anything else, I got somewhere.
Yeah.
I didn't get there perfectly, but I got there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Protect your environment, man. You're picking up. I don't know how this conversation started, but you are picking up on something that is honestly to me is going to be one of the largest factors in you getting where you want to go. Is just having the blinders on.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure.
Hey guys, this is Maurice, host of the Try Life On podcast, and thank you for listening to another episode. I hope you are finding it useful and helping you design your own lifestyle that you don't need a vacation from. If that's the case, please consider dropping a review for me, whether in Apple, iTunes, or in Spotify. Drop a review, put some stars on it, give me some feedback on how I can make the podcast better, what information you are looking for. I am doing my best to get information to you on the Try Life On principles, the 5 freedoms, how to build lifestyle, travel hacking, all of it. And I want to do it for you. So please do a review for me. And until next time, my name is Maurice Philogene, and this is the Try Life On podcast. Peace.